I go, I'm putting on. Putting on, putting on. Everywhere I go, I'm putting on. Putting on, putting on. Everywhere I go, I'm putting on. Putting on. Where you from?
Welcome to Popcorn Sports on the Popcorn Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Mike Kyle, and welcome to yet another episode of our Why You Should Root for every team in the NBA for the 2018-2019 season. I, of course, am not alone as we preview the Boston Celtics. I am joined by none other than Drew Doxy of Celtics Blog. You can follow him on Twitter at Paradoxy11. Drew, how you doing today?
It's a great day to have a great day.
It is a great day to have a great day indeed. My first question for you, and the question that I ask all of my guests, is how did you become a fan of the Boston Celtics?
So, funny story. It's really not that funny. But my mom's side of the family lived in Massachusetts for a while before my mom moved down to Florida. So I don't even live in Boston, which is it's funny when people try to diss me on Twitter or whatever, like, oh, it's a black guy in Boston. But the thing is, most of my mom's family is up in Massachusetts, and they came down for my sister's graduation, and the 2010 playoff run was going on at the time. So I tuned in it was Celtics Magic, and I saw Rondo dive like the length of the court in Game 3 for the ball. And I don't know, something in that moment just clicked for me. So I started following them. I saw them go to the finals against the Lakers in 2010, and I picked up the next season, 2010-11. That was my first real full season as a Celtics fan. And I think my fandom was sealed the night where we were on a 10-game winning streak, and we played the Knicks. It was December 15th, I think. It was the date, 2010. And Paul Pierce hit a game winner over Mari Stoudemire. It was a great night. It was a great game. I still have the game saved on my laptop. And ever since then, I just, steadily been growing in my love for the team, the history, the lore, everything about it. So I am now a Celtics fan, and I probably will be for the rest of my life. I 100% will be for the rest of my life. I shouldn't say probably.
It's been a nice 8-year run for you for sure. And I mean, I've known you for the majority of that run, and just the progression of it all has been nothing short of sensational. But let's just dive into the general overview of the Boston Celtics. They joined the NBA in 1946, the inaugural season, and they are called the Celtics because their founder, Walt Brown, decided that the team name would pay homage to the original New York Celtics and the Irish heritage in Boston. Their color scheme, for those who like to pick their colors, or for those who like to pick their team, based off of colors, are green and white. 55 playoff appearances, 17 NBA championships. That is leading, by the way. And they play in the Atlantic Division, which includes Philadelphia, Toronto, Brooklyn, and New York. Obviously, it's time for you to be a Celtics fan, and, just kind of, that's the thing, you missed the last championship for the Celtics.
I did, yeah.
So, especially, to play the Lakers in the finals and to lose, and obviously that was kind of like your first little taste into your fandom. How much have you been wanting to get back to that point?
We got so close in 2012, and we got so close this past year that it really gets on my nerves when I stop and think about it, because I did miss that first championship run, and we were minutes away from another championship in 2010, and we were minutes away from making the finals a couple months ago in May. It's just, we're always so close, at least since I've become a fan. So I would love to get back on that stage and we got national recognition making it to the Eastern Conference Finals with like half of a team, but just to be on the biggest stage and have everyone talking about your team, there's nothing like it, And now that I'm more knowledgeable about the game, I would enjoy it more than I did, just starting out back in 2010. So I really want that back.
Absolutely. I mean, you are a true student of the game and just the progression. Obviously, that I've been around with you. I mean, both of us really. It's been quite remarkable. And you already kind of touched on last season, the Game 7 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. You guys finished up the season 55-27, number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Last season, we could go all over the place with this, but just all right, we'll start off with what your biggest takeaways were from last season. Obviously, a lot of injuries, but still, that team, man, just fight, and a lot of it.
My biggest takeaway is that I have no doubt that we're making the finals this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to expand?
Yeah, so we were minutes away, like 2 or 3 minutes away from making the finals without our 2 best players. And a lot of people like to minimize that, and they like to hype up the competition in the Eastern Conference. But, I mean, you're adding 2 all-star level talents, and that's minimizing it. because you can make the argument for Kyrie and even Gordon Hayward to be beyond just the average All-Star impact. And in addition, you have the growth of a lot of our young guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier. They're a year older. They're a year wiser in terms of NBA mileage. So, I mean, like, I don't... And, of course, LeBron James left. So that's the biggest obstacle. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you know, Kawhi Leonard comes into the conference. That's going to be a challenge. But I don't really see any real obstacles. Even if we somehow, for some reason, we get another major injury, I still feel like our team is deep enough to compensate for that. So seeing us get so close without our two best players leaves me very confident that we'll finally, for the first time since 2010, make it back to the finals. I don't know where we'll go from there, but I am at least confident that we will make it to the biggest stage.
I just think it's just interesting. You know, obviously, opening night, I was there. I just remember texting you immediately. I'm like, that was horrific.
Yeah.
Obviously, referring to the Gordon Hayward broken ankle. And then, you know, you're looking at a month and a half later, 2 months later, Kyrie goes down. And it's like, what is happening here? And just time and time again, they just seem to just keep being so resilient. That's just the word, right? It was always next man up. Al Horford specifically had a major role in that, and just keeping. I feel like Horford was just like the glue guy, man. He's just like, all right, like, let's not get tilted. We had to play with who we got out there. And I mean, just the whole team itself just made the most of the situation, obviously, just having a tremendous season.
Yeah, and beyond, and not to minimize Horford too, but Brad Stevens did such a good job managing minutes and plugging in guys. And of course, the credit goes to the players, too. They stepped up when they needed to. Shane Larkin played such a big role for us in spot minutes because our guard rotation kept getting decimated by injuries. But a lot of people don't like to give the credit to Al Horford, but he was fantastic through it all. You know, and a lot of his contributions go under the radar, but he really is the backbone of the team. Where if you look at why something in a given possession was successful, most likely it started with Al Horford.
Right, completely agree. So with that, let's shift gears now and look at this year's roster. Come on now, it's the deepest roster in the NBA. You basically can use the platoon approach with this team. Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, Rozier, Marcus Smart, Baines, Robert Williams, rookie drafted this year, Marcus Morris returning again. Just break down some of this roster for me.
Yeah, I mean, anything you want, we got it. If you want perimeter shooting, we got that. If you want interior scoring, we got that. If you want rebounding, we have that. If you want long wing defenders, we got that. If you want multiple ball handlers, we got that. It's really nice to have such a complete roster. I don't think that we maybe have one or two one-dimensional players, and even then, you know, like Aaron Baines started adding threes to his repertoire last year, especially in the playoffs. He really went off against Philly from the 3-point line, and that was it's really a testament to how the roster has they've dedicated themselves to being as multi-positional as possible. So the possibilities are endless in terms of how you can mix and match this personnel together. And we also have guys who, when needed, they can function as specialists, essentially. So we have guys like Shemi Ojale who can go in and play really tough D on your best, wing player. Shemi Ojale did such a fantastic job against Giannis Antetokounmpo last year in the playoffs and in all of our regular season matchups. And he's probably like our ninth man.
Yep.
And you have guys
I would say so.
Yeah, and that's a guy that you would love to have as like your seventh or eighth guy on a roster, and he's like 9 or 10 on our depth chart. You got guys like Marcus Smart who could start for a couple of teams at the point. You got Terry Rozier who could probably start for a team and probably will at some point in his career.
Yep.
In reference to Rozier, those guys are starters essentially. You have
what?
Yeah, I mean we have everything.
You do literally have everything. And the big question, I would say more than anything right now, is how do you fit Gordon Hayward back into the mix? Obviously, Kyrie is going to take his starting job back from Terry Rozier, who held it previously once Kyrie went down. But with Hayward, I mean, you have this really weird dynamic where Hayward, Brown, and Tatum are all kind of interchangeable. And so how do you think like the minutes play out there? Because obviously you got so much exposure with Tatum in his rookie campaign with the Hayward injury. How do you think that this minutes dynamic plays out?
Yeah, so that's the the one difficult thing it's a great problem to have is in terms of like, hey, how do you fit in an all-star to your Eastern Conference Finals team? It's a great problem to have. I think one of the issues that we had last season as our players kept dropping like flies because of injuries was that we didn't have enough offense consistently, enough guys who could create their own shot. So now what I think the approach will be to have either Tatum or Hayward come off the bench or come to the bench early in the game. So like about 5 minutes in, Stevens will probably pull at least one of them and then put them back in with the second unit and Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier. So that way you're forced into less ill-advised three-pointers from guys like Marcus Morris, Marcus Smart, and Terry Rozier, and you have guys like Hayward who could run the pick and roll, or Hayward can basically score in any way that you need him to. So I think that what they'll do is try to leave at least two shot makers on the floor at all times. So I'm sure that they'll probably keep Kyrie and Al Horford together a lot because their pick and roll combination is deadly. And then Gordon Hayward, and maybe Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward can play together off the second unit too. There's so many combinations that you can go through, but I think Brad will probably stick with Hayward playing more with the second unit, at least to start out, because I don't feel like we are in need to rush him to take on a big load early on, because our team is already successful without him, so we can bring him along slowly as he's fully healthy. But playing in an NBA game is a lot different than going through practice and things like that. So I think we have the luxury to bring him along slowly and let him get a feel for playing at the NBA level again for a couple of months before he's ready to go for a deep playoff run.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that you kind of touched on a little bit that I didn't really think of, and I don't think a lot of fans have really thought of it either, where everyone's saying, all right, the conversation is between Brown, Tatum, and Hayward, when in reality, if you bring Hayward back, you can actually reduce the minutes, not the limits, of guys like Marcus Morris or Ojale or like the back end of the roster. So it's like, if anything, it kind of shores up the front end. And you can just kind of move the back end guys back to the side.
Yeah,
and I think that's just a very interesting point that I feel like a lot of people are overlooking.
Yeah, a lot of people like to think like, oh man, Hayward's gonna mess up the chemistry. How is he gonna get along with that's not how it works.
Right.
Like Kevin Durant didn't mess up the chemistry of Golden State when they added him. They were still phenomenal right out the gate. When was it 2 years ago when Kevin Durant joined them?
Yep.
The luxury of adding Gordon Hayward means that you don't have to rely on guys like Shemi Ojale and Marcus Morris and Yabusele. Obviously, you still want to use them, especially over the course of 82 games. But we really had to lean on those guys last season, and thankfully they stepped up. But obviously, I'd rather have an all-star than not have an all-star. So that kind of shores up, like you said, the front line and our core 8-man rotation, and then of course when needed we can go to the other guys.
Right. So let's kind of end this roster segment on this. Name me one player who you're really looking forward to watching this upcoming season.
I got
just one.
I can't even say Marcus Smart because that's what everybody's expecting. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Jaylen Brown because I'm interested.
Thank you, my son, my adoptive son, Jaylen Brown.
my strong and burly son, Jaylen Brown, because I'm interested to see by adding Hayward into the lineup, he's gonna get less touches, especially as Jason Tatum is more focused on offense. But I think Jaylen Brown has the unique ability out of all of the guys in the starting lineup to play off the ball really well because he moves incredibly well off the ball.
Yep.
And I think that he can still score the same amount of points, if not more, while touching the ball less in kind of like a Klay Thompson-esque role. Not to the sense that he's going to shoot the same way, but in the same way that his movement around the court is going to facilitate a lot of good things on offense.
Jaylen Brown just does everything, man. Really good defender, moves well off the ball, super athletic, can make plays on offense. It's like
my favorite thing about him though is his mentality, because
Oh, he just wants to kill you. He just wants to kill you.
He wants to murder
you. He steps on the floor and murder you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because one thing with Jason Tatum is that he didn't have that.
No,
instinct.
Very quiet. But that's the thing. It's like Tatum's always played like super quiet, whereas Jaylen Brown steps on the court and says, "Yeah, fuck this."
He's trying to kill somebody on the court.
Exactly. So I do want to get into one more thing about the roster really quick. What do you think of the backcourt situation right now? Obviously, there's a lot of guards there. How do you think it plays out?
Oh, that's not an issue. I think you could still fit in 25 minutes each for you can fit in 25 minutes for Terry Rozier and 30 minutes for Marcus Smart still, especially with the multi-positional lineups we can throw out, because Jaylen Brown's gonna he's gonna play 30 minutes. That leaves 18 minutes there off the bench when for the times that he's sitting. Same thing for Kyrie. The good thing about Brad Stevens is that in the regular season he really doesn't wear his guys down to the ground. I don't think anybody played over 32 minutes per game last season. Mm-hmm. So I don't think in the backcourt the issue is going to be there. I'm more worried about guys like Marcus Morris, having to settle for 20 minutes a game, or even less in situations where last season he. I don't remember his numbers right off the top of the head, but he was definitely playing over 20 minutes a game, and he enjoyed having all of those isolation shots. So I'm more worried about the front court actually when it comes to the minute distribution than the back court, because we have our 4 guards basically set in stone, and I think that you can get good minutes out of all 4 of them.
I agree. I do think that's a very interesting take, because the majority of that I've seen, at least, there's a lot of people just kind of worrying about the front court and not about the back court, or other way around, worrying about the back court and not about the front court. But I do think that's a very interesting kind of other end of the spectrum that you were looking at right there.
Yeah, I think we should be all right.
So now let's shift gears to the fan base and fun. Of course, we have to start off with Weird Celtics Twitter, your home, your homeland, the place where you reside frequently. Just go ahead. The floor is yours, man.
Okay, that's quite the intro. Yes, so I guess to start off, Weird Celtics Twitter is just a group of us fans that we love to post online about the team. I mean, we collect a lot of pictures, we make a lot of memes, a lot of photoshops, and we just enjoy the game as it happens. I think a lot of fans get caught up in the wins and losses. I think if you were to find the average Celtics fan, you lose a game and they're like, oh, we gotta trade everyone, we gotta trade this, let's get Anthony Davis, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. But Weird Celtics Twitter, we keep it chill. If we lose, it's cool because we had fun watching the game. I mean, obviously we want to win, but I think we're more poised in how we handle game to game situations and all that. But we just have a cool time. We speak in tongues, I guess. We speak we just have fun. I don't know how to describe it really, but beyond that, but we just have fun watching the game and we make good posts.
So obviously you're in it, so describing it can be a little bit weird. So can I try and describe it, since I've been on the outside kind of looking in, occasionally making my way in, but for the most part staying on the outside?
You could probably give a better description than I can, because once you're in it, you kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit. Right.
So all right, so I'll just state my case real quick. I make my way into Weird Celtics Twitter from time to time. I think
it's a dangerous place.
Yes, it's a very, very dangerous place. You can get lost really quickly. The mentions are turned. You don't know what the hell's going on. But basically, the collection of Weird Celtics Twitter, it's just this group of fans almost with basketball purity. And I think that's the best way to describe it, where obviously, as you mentioned, it's not about the wins and losses. It's like, dude, you're just here for a good time. At the end of the day, it's a sport. At the end of the day, it's a game. Yes, you want the outcome to be good. But dude, if you're able to just kick your feet up for 3 hours during a nice cold winter night and just watch basketball and just have a really nice community effect and have a very nice community in play, where it's just everyone, it's just jokes and memes, and you're not ragging on players, but you're forming different personalities for them and different characteristics for each guy. It's just a really nice, wholesome place of the internet, I would say. It's one of the most wholesome places of the internet.
I can vouch for the wholesomeness.
Yes, absolutely. And to me, I just think it's so cool how quick it grew. I mean, you guys got national coverage within the first 3 months of this thing. And,
Yeah.
and I would say once December or January hit, when Kyrie went down, I think that was the turning point. That was the point where you guys said, screw it, I don't care what happens for the rest of the year, but we're going to have a damn good time.
Yeah, that was actually a little later. That came in March when Kyrie was out for the rest of the season.
My bad.
Yeah, but no, I mean, but it did. I think you were right about the timeline though, because I think December was the time when the James Harden issue and the Rockets, a 26-point comeback.
What a game!
Yeah, for me that was the highlight of last season, easily, without a doubt. Because we were down by 26, and then at that point the post just got super weird. I think I even tweeted myself like I volunteer to offer my firstborn child if we can win this game, something like that. And which I guess I gotta offer my firstborn child since we won the game. Yeah, those are the rules. But the funny thing, like we just. We kept posting and posting and posting. We were having so much fun, and then next thing you know, we're down by 20, we're down by 15, 10, and then 5, and then the last 2 minutes happens. The first charge, my Twitter feed was like, I think Twitter broke on me for a second, and then the second time, James Harden got called for the offensive foul. Like, I don't think in real life I've gotten more poised as I've gotten older as a Celtics fan. Mm-hmm. Even game winners, like nothing really gets me up, like to jump up and everything like that. But I ran around my house screaming when Marcus Smart drew that second charge. That was fun.
I do remember, man. I just remember just you specifically that day. You were just all right. Just keep posting. The comeback is coming.
Yep.
And sure enough, you're looking at the score just chip away. You're looking at 20, 18, 16, and on and on and on. And then Marcus Smart draws that late game charge, and you're like, "Oh my God, they just won this game."
Yeah, that was a personal highlight for me.
So let's kind of talk about the broad picture of Celtics fandom. What do you think of just the Celtics community as a whole, not just Weird Celtics Twitter?
You were putting me on the spot here because I don't want to expose anybody.
Don't expose.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, Celtics fan. The thing is, like you mentioned at the outset, the Celtics were established a long time ago. We're one of the founding members of the NBA.
Right.
Or I think we're one of the few teams that hasn't like relocated or rebranded since starting. I think the Knicks are with the other one or something like that. So we're bound to have a lot of fans just out of the longevity of it. Mm-hmm. I don't really interact a lot with casual Celtics fans that much. I mean, some of them follow me and everything like that. For me, I don't like the whole overreaction kind of thing, which is probably why I spend a lot of time with Weird Celtics Twitter, at least in my interactions online. Because people get really mad about sports online, and that's just not But that's not just the Celtics though. I think that's just a fandom thing in general. Mm-hmm. And Celtics in particular, I think that's there's the whole Boston and the stigma that comes with that, but I don't think that that's really the case anymore, not more so than any other sports fandom. And like I said, it's hard to paint a broad picture of Celtics fandom just because there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Compared to Weird Celtics Twitter, which is obviously a niche thing. So I don't have any like sweeping generalizations to make about just Celtics fans, to be honest. But I will say that a lot of the stereotypes and things like that have been placed on Celtics fans is from what I've observed unfair in relation to the rest of the league. But that's just my perspective. So.
Okay. And
but being a Celtics fan is cool because you can be in like Iceland and you'll see a dude with like a Larry Bird jersey.
Right, so. Which I mean that just speaks to like the broadness of the Celtics fandom, which is just super super cool. Yeah. But one thing I do want to kind of branch off, and I think this is very interesting as well, where you have TV stations and Danny Ainge to some extent, and different media outlets where they just recognize the niche Weird Celtics Twitter, like just that community. What's that like? Like when Danny Ainge is cracking jokes on Twitter at, what was it, 12:30 in the
midnight,
morning? Yeah. Like just because. Like what's that like?
Yeah, I think a lot of the national exposure has made its way to the organization, and I think that they're leaning into the comedic bit a little bit because of it, which is really cool to me. Like a lot of organizations will see that and they'll be like, it's kind of weird and just kind of ignore it. But I think that the cool thing about the Celtics and being a Celtics fan is that we have people in the organization that like are having fun with us. So and that's the cool thing. I think the Dime magazine was the first one
Yep,
to
that
really
was the first one.
yeah, and then we made it onto NBC Sports for Sports New England, and all sorts of outlets have been covering the explosion of Weird Celtics Twitter, led by, of course, the Riffs man, lifelong Pelicans fan. And it's really I'm running out of words to say how cool it is, but it's just insanely cool how you got guys that the old perception of the NBA is that everything has to be serious. It's a business. It's an organization. So it's really nice to see, social teams step up, and it's nice to see executives get on Twitter and have fun with it. Because at the end of the day, we're all united by watching guys bounce the ball on the court. So
Exactly.
there's nothing to get super serious about. So the fact that we can all have fun about it and, have a real cool time together, I think that's the coolest part to me.
What's been your favorite meme moment of last season? What was it? What was the one that stuck out? Because I have the one for me, and that was the one for me, which is just super super simple. Was just when Marcus Smart was just on the floor and just did like his jump flip to get back up.
The kip up.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know what it was, but that was just like a very weird moment where it's like, oh, he just did that. I don't know how he did it, but I want to know how he did it.
He's a ninja on the weekends. That's what.
Absolutely. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of tied for me because like the first one was, like Marcus Smart missed a lot of time because of repeated hand injuries, for whatever reason, and so we had this joke where it's like Marcus is gonna come back with a cybernetic hand, and there were a lot of photoshops made. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with Claw from Black Panther and his cybernetic arm. There were some photoshops there. There were some photoshops of Luke Skywalker from Star Wars and his cybernetic hand and all that. So I think that was a funny moment for me. But I think the best moment that highlights just the power of posting and everything was draft night, which is basically after the season. But draft night, we thought that Robert Williams is just a cool guy. He's something. So
yes, he is something.
And so we noticed that he was starting to slip, down the draft board. So all of us, this was a collective effort. We all started tweeting. We were backing up the Riffs man and his prediction and everything. And we were just tweeting like Robert Williams is going to go to the Celtics, and the posts were happening. The photoshops were happening. This is all in real time. Next thing you know, we're at like pick 25 and Robert Williams is still on the board. And we all really like kicked into high gear, talk. I don't even know how to describe it. That's the best part of Weird Celtics Twitter is that like it's just you don't even know how to describe it. You kind of have to be there, so you should follow us all on Twitter.
Yes.
But so it felt like we tweeted Robert Williams going to the Celtics into existence because he was projected to go anywhere from like 10 to 20. 20 was like the reach, but for him to slip all the way to 27 was completely unpredictable. So we just kind of, obviously we were having fun with it. We basically said that we posted Robert Williams into being drafted by the Celtics. So it was a fun night.
Yeah.
And then he literally missed his post-draft phone call the next day.
Yeah, there was a whole string of events, missed flight. It wasn't pretty. But
yeah.
Hey, the only place to go is up. And with that, we're going to wrap up with this. You have 30 seconds to pitch anybody why they should be a fan of the Boston Celtics for the 2018-2019 season. The floor is yours.
We're the best team in the league. That's it.
That's it? That's it.
That's it. We're the best team in the league. No. Okay, we're the best team in the league, and we're extremely fun to follow. That's it. I don't need to say anything else.
I'm in. And hey, if you want to get on the Celtics bandwagon now, just reference this video and you're good. Like this, yeah. I am giving you a entry point if you want to be a Celtics fan right now. You have the opportunity to take me up on that offer. And once again, Drew, thank you so much for joining me. This has been Drew Doxy of the Celtics blogging. Follow him on Twitter at Paradoxy11. You got any other messages or requests that you want to put out there?
All right, well, thank you for having me on, man. And I'm excited for this upcoming season. It's going to be a real cool time.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out his work over at CelticsBlog.com. And with that, we're done here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe down below, and leave a comment about why you will or will not be a Celtics fan in the 2018-2019 season. Peace! Thank you all so much for checking out today's video. If you are new here, click the video right above my head. It's going to give you all the details about the Popcorn Entertainment Network. If you want to see the latest video from this series, click the upper left-hand corner, and be sure to check all the boxes down to the left of me. That includes subscribing, get your butt in the bucket. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Hit that like button, share it with a friend, interact with us down below in the comments section, and last but not least, check out our website, popcornent.com, where we post all new and exclusive content. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media at popcornentnet on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, we'll see you next time.